The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise has a total of 10 different games that create a deep and complicated story, and within that story there are many unsolved mysteries to this day. And in this video, I'm going to give my interpretation of a mystery that seems to have been forgotten by the community. And this mystery has been in the franchise for longer than many people realize and plays an important role in the franchise, and of course I'm talking about Old Man Consequences. There have been many theories and videos on this strange character, and trying to understand his purpose or meaning has been difficult, as like many theories, the community can't agree on who this is. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the most popular theories and explain which one I think is correct and explain why it answers who is Old Man Consequences. But first, let's go over the history of this character. Old Man Consequences first made his appearance in FNAF World as a minor character. He was featured in a secret ending where the player would reach the end of the map and encounter this character fishing alone. He only has 2 pieces of dialogue, as all he says is, "I'm sorry to say that you have gone too deep into the code, there's no way back out." He also says, "My name is Old Man Consequences, come have a seat and let's fish for a while, you have nowhere else to go." The game then ends, and at the surface it may just seem that this character is an Easter egg and nothing more. And that's what the community had thought until Old Man Consequences made his next and final appearance in FNAF Ultimate Custom Night. To get this Easter egg, the player must set all animatronics to a rating of 0 and only keep Old Man Consequences at 1. Then when you're in the game, Old Man Consequences will appear on your screen, and when you press a button to catch your fish, you will be taken into the Easter egg. Here you get the exact same screen as the one in FNAF World, but this time Old Man Consequences has very cryptic and confusing dialogue. He first says, "Come and sit with me a while." He then says, "Leave the demon to his demons, rest your own soul, there is nothing else." After this, the player then walks into the lake, drowning themselves, and this is when the Easter egg ends. And really, it may not seem like this Easter egg is complicated or is important to the FNAF franchise. So what about this mystery is confusing, and what can't the community agree on? Well, I think it simply comes down to 3 things: who the Golden Freddy spirit is, where they are, and obviously who is Old Man Consequences. I also think with each of these questions there are 2 main popular theories, so here are my thoughts on which ones are correct. Starting with the easiest one, who is the Golden Freddy spirit? Well, the 2 most popular theories are that the spirit is the crying child and that the spirit is Cassidy. Well, I think the obvious and clear answer that most of the community had agreed on is that the Golden Freddy spirit is Cassidy. We know this because of the FNAF 4 ending and because of the FNAF 3 Happiest Day minigame. In the FNAF 4 ending, the crying child is thrown into the mouth of Fredbear on his birthday by his older brother Michael. He is then killed by the Springlock Zoo as a result of his tears causing the jaw of Fredbear to clamp down. Although the crying child fell victim to one of William Afton's creations, he obviously wasn't murdered by William Afton like Cassidy was, which is an important fact I'll mention again later in the video. In the FNAF 3 Happiest Day minigame, you play as the puppet as you go through a birthday party. You pass various kids with different animal masks until you reach the end where you find a child with his birthday cake crying. Then the crying child is seen wearing a Golden Freddy mask, and that's when all the children disappear and their masks fall on the ground. The 6 balloons then fly upwards, signifying the souls of the 6 children being freed and finally being at peace. Now this minigame is clearly supposed to represent the events of the FNAF 4 ending. We see a birthday party with various children wearing masks, and at the face of it is the crying child. And this makes sense as the crying child's happiest day was taken from him, but in this minigame he's finally able to have his birthday party that he always wanted. And this also means that the crying child's spirit is set free and is no longer in control of Golden Freddy, which also confirms that Cassidy is the spirit in control of Golden Freddy during Ultimate Custom Night and is the one torturing William Afton. And this makes sense as, like I mentioned before, Cassidy was a direct victim of William Afton versus the crying child who just fell victim to one of his animatronics. Cassidy has a motive to torture William Afton while the crying child just simply doesn't. All he wanted was his birthday party away from the animatronics, so vengeance just seems out of character for him. And there's even more evidence that comes from a secret screen that some players get after a jump scare. When brightening the screen, it seems to be the face of a young boy or girl, which is clearly supposed to be Cassidy. I think this is here just to differentiate the crying child and Cassidy even more. But with all of that, it's obvious that the spirit torturing William Afton is Cassidy. But now moving on to where they are, here are some popular theories, and here's why this isn't actually that important. Now this part isn't actually a theory, but this is what we do know for certain about where they are. And it's simply what it's regarded as in the community. Like I mentioned before, this Easter egg first appeared in FNAF World, but the only way to access it was to go through 4 layers of the game, which is why Old Man Consequences is known to be in the 4th deepest layer. But what is this place? Well, it's simply some place where spirits can communicate, but again, where they are just isn't that important. Now what is important, and the most important part of this video, who is Old Man Consequences? Well, the 2 biggest theories is that he is either Henry Emily or Michael Afton, and there's plenty of evidence that supports both theories, but first let's look at Henry Emily and break down why many people believe he is Old Man Consequences. And the biggest reason why many people believe that this is Henry, and what it simply comes down to, is their similar behavior and language. When looking at both of these characters, they feel sympathetic and understanding in a way. Just look at these 2 voice lines from the secret and canon ending of FNAF 6.
As if the suffering wasn't enough, the loss of innocence, the loss of everything to so many people. Small souls trapped in prisons of my making, now set to new purpose, and used in ways I never thought imaginable. And to you monsters trapped in the corridors, be still, and give up your spirits. They don't belong to you. For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears.
When comparing these two voice lines to Old Man Consequence's voice lines, there's a strong similarity when discussing souls resting and them being set free. Henry essentially has the same goal as he did in FNAF 6, which was to set souls free, but in Custom Night he can't burn the animatronics to rest their souls. Instead, he has to convince Cassidy and sympathize with her to stop torturing William Afton and to set her own soul free. We know he's successful at this, as in the canon ending we see Golden Freddy twitching and fading into darkness, which may signify Cassidy's soul being set free and finally resting. I also think it just makes sense for it to be Henry, as he's one of the only characters that can understand what these children went through. His own daughter was a victim of William Afton, and of course he created the animatronics that those same souls would inhabit. So with all of this evidence and reasoning, it may seem easy to say that Henry Emily is Old Man Consequences. But what other character could sympathize with these souls, and what other character do many people believe is Old Man Consequences? Well, this is of course Michael Afton. Again, the reasoning many people believe he's Michael Afton are similar to Henry, but this theory really only works if the Golden Freddy spirit was the crying child. If this were the case, Michael Afton would be sympathizing with his younger brother, urging him to stop torturing their father and to rest his soul. Now all of this would make sense and would actually be a form of closure for Michael and the crying child, as the last time they spoke to each other was on the crying child's deathbed, but again this would give him closure. And personally, I really do like this theory, but when looking at all the evidence, it's clear that the Golden Freddy spirit is Cassidy and she has no relation to Michael Afton. But then the argument can be made that Henry has no relation to Cassidy, but I think they do have some relation for these reasons. Henry was the one who made the original Fredbear animatronic and even wore it in the family diner. And we also know that Henry blames himself for what happened to those children, and his sole purpose in FNAF 6 was to undo William Afton's actions. He continues this purpose in FNAF Ultimate Custom Night by trying to set Cassidy free. But one piece of evidence in favor for Michael that really convinced people he was Old Man Consequences was this audio clip. Take a listen. It seems that William Afton is yelling for Mike, which would also mean he's yelling for Old Man Consequences. But I don't think that's the case, and instead I just think this is an Easter egg of William Afton yelling for Mike's help, as this audio clip and Old Man Consequences simply aren't correlated. And with all that said, and after looking at all the theories and evidence, the Golden Freddy spirit is Cassidy. They are in a place where spirits can communicate, and Old Man Consequences is Henry Emily. And with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and what other FNAF theories should I cover? And who do you guys think Old Man Consequences is, and does it really matter? Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thanks for watching.